Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2003 movie, The Matrix Reloaded. So, in this movie, Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus are continuing to revolt against the Machine Army, and it's been 6 months since the events of the first one, and Neo is really showing promise as the chosen one, and they've been able to help a lot of people escape the Matrix, and in their quest to save the human race from extinction, they gain insight into the construct of the Matrix and Neo's pivotal role in the fate and everything, and they have to face off against all kinds of different agents and stuff in this movie, but this one is alright. It was actually my favorite as a kid. It was probably one of the ones I rewatched the most because I just love the action in it, and as far as the action goes, it has some of the best action scenes in the franchise, although some of them are kind of dated because of the CGI. But I think this is a pretty decent sequel to the first one, but it's definitely nowhere near as good as the first, and I can't believe that I used to say that I like this more than the first as a kid. Really shows how your taste changes as you get older, because the first movie is just a legendary, groundbreaking movie on it in its own right and everything. This one is still a lot of fun and everything, but it doesn't have that same storytelling that first movie did. It's still really a good story, but it doesn't do as good as the first one did. And it doesn't feel like, you could tell this movie had a much bigger budget, and they had a lot more that they were able to do with this movie, and to me it kind of hurt it a little bit. I like, even though the original one had a lot of big budget effects and stuff, I feel like it was grounded and everything a little bit, if that makes sense. But this one does expand the world a little bit, and we get introduced to some new characters, and they have to find the key holder to this part of their world, and it's got an interesting story and everything. But I will say the action scenes are really what makes this movie as great as it is, especially that freeway scene. And just every time I watch it, I always love that scene. It's just so much fun and everything. Even with the dated special effects, that scene has always been awesome. Another scene that I loved was when the Agent Smith multiplies and Neo is fighting a whole bunch of Agent Smiths. That was also another one that I used to rewatch all the time as a kid. One of the scenes I would love to just watch on repeat and everything. Watching it now, it's very cringy, and the CGI is laughably bad. It looks like a PG, or not PG-13, like a PS2 video game. It has that early 2000s CGI that just looks really bad, although like I said, there are way worse CGI in movies and stuff, but it still is very noticeably bad in this one and everything. I never really noticed it until this time, but that freeway scene, though, to me, that freeway scene makes up for it, because it is a really awesome scene. And there's a lot of other action scenes in here too, like that first one at the beginning of the movie is a lot of fun too, and you get a lot of really cool ones with Trinity fighting and stuff too, fighting the agents when she falls out of the building, and Neo keeps having this dream about her dying and stuff, and when we get to that scene where she's fighting them and everything, it's a really cool scene. Neo ends up saving her at the last minute, which was pretty cool and everything. And I do like this movie. It does leave off at a big cliffhanger and makes you wonder what's going to happen next and everything. I remember when I was a kid, it was driving me crazy because I didn't, and I ended up seeing The Matrix Revolutions probably 2-3 weeks afterwards, but it felt like an eternity waiting to find out what happens back then and everything. And I don't remember Revolutions very well because I didn't watch that one near as much as I did this one, but this one to me does kind of, it seems like the pacing is a little bit more off, like when the action scenes aren't going on and stuff, it feels like it slows down a little bit, and that's both good and bad. It's not quite on the good of the slow burn that the first one had. This one, it just, when it slows down, it just feels kind of slow, and I kind of lose interest in between the action scenes, unlike the first one where I was engaged in the story the whole time and everything. Like, I do get why people aren't as big on the sequels now, because that first one is a really great movie, and this one is still fun, but I wouldn't say that it's a great movie. It's entertaining and everything. It's a fun, entertaining action movie, but if you took out the action, it really wouldn't be as good. I've seen this movie many times though, and like I said, it is one that I loved as a kid. It doesn't hold up as well as I was hoping it would. One of the reasons why I haven't wanted to revisit these movies is because this is one of the ones that I loved as a kid, and I was worried that revisiting it now I wouldn't enjoy it as much. And the first one I enjoyed even more than I did as a kid. This one, not near as much. It's still okay. It's watchable. It has, like I said, the action scenes that make it worth watching and everything, and the cast are all once again great in here, especially Keanu Reeves is Neo. I think he's still really good in here, although I think I liked him a little more in the first one. I love Morpheus in this one though. I feel like he really stood out in this movie a lot and everything. Yeah, I loved him, and I really like Trinity too. So I mean, you get them back, and you get Niobe, played by Jada Pinkett Smith. She's introduced into this movie, and you get a bunch of other interesting characters that I don't really remember most of their names, but I think they're all fine and everything. And Agent Smith, I think he's good in here still. Hugo Weaving does a good job playing him, but it didn't seem like he was as committed to the role and like he was having as much fun in the role in this one as he was in the first movie. There was something off about Agent Smith in this one. He seemed a little bit different. Maybe he was meant to, because the character is maybe slightly different, but it just seemed like there was something off about Agent Smith in this one compared to the first one. But all in all, I think The Matrix Reloaded is a fine movie. It's not the big piece of garbage like a lot of people say it is. I know a lot of people say that after the first one, none of the other movies are good or anything. It's kind of like the Terminator franchise. That people love the first two, and then they don't care about any of the other ones. And this one, they love the first one, don't care about any of the other ones after it. And I think this one is alright. To be honest, the first one would have been a great standalone movie that didn't really have to do a trilogy, but I think it's fine for what it is, and we get some awesome action and stuff. So I'm not going to complain too awful much, because it is still a decent enough movie. Could be better, yes, but it's a fun time, and my nostalgia for it does kind of play into this as well, because if I didn't have that nostalgia, I might not like this movie at all, to be honest with you. But the nostalgia does kind of play into it, because every time I watch those action scenes, it just takes me back to when I was a kid. I would watch certain scenes of this movie on repeat and everything, just because of how cool they were, especially that freeway scene. But yeah, so I'd say I'd give The Matrix Reloaded a 7 out of 10. It's definitely not as good as the first one, but I don't think it's completely terrible either. It's watchable, and it has some fun moments and everything. So, but let me know in the comments what you think of The Matrix Reloaded, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.